Yo, what is up YouTube? It is Zeta TCG, and today I'm going to be putting out another video game review, this time for one of the biggest games to probably be released this year in 2016, and that is Uncharted 4: A Thieves' End. I have always been such a very big fan of the Uncharted series. I always felt that every Uncharted game that Naughty Dog put out was really good. And before I continue on with this review, if you aren't a fan of spoilers, then I totally advise you 100% to go into a different tab, and you can hear me just talk, and you can just listen to me make my points because I do have actual gameplay of the game right here. So if you aren't a fan of that, then go ahead and do whatever you need to do before I continue on and talk about the game. Um, but I promise you I will not say any spoilers whatsoever. I will try my best to keep them at a very minimum. I may say a minor spoiler here and there, but I promise you there's nothing big I will say. I will not spoil the ending or anything like that. Trust me. I hate those people too. You're not the only one. So to start it off with, one of the very first impressions that I got from Uncharted 4 was probably the use of the hardware in the PlayStation 4 to really maximize the whole entire use of the PS4 system, and in terms of making the graphics very good. These PS4 graphics are amongst one of the better PS4 graphics I've ever seen. Um, Definitely not, better than the Order 1886, but definitely up there with the Order 1886. No console graphics will beat the Order 1886, but this game is one of the top graphical accomplishments made for the PS4, and I enjoyed that very much. And whenever you just look at some of the many things that can be really, stand out in this game, such as the environments that you will see, and sort of the things that Mother Nature, so to speak, has made in these games is really amazing. They stand out very much, and they look very good. And there's a in my mind at least, a huge round of applause for Naughty Dog for doing that, because they did very good with the overall graphics of this game. Kudos to them. Next thing that I noticed was this is definitely not going to have recycled type of mechanics in terms of gameplay. This is brand new gameplay. They really tried to maximize the entire gameplay to the maximum potential that they can accomplish with. And I felt that with Uncharted 4, with the improved gameplay, and by extension, this is really what I think really improved the overall gameplay, was that the overall gun gameplay and the overall combat of this game significantly improved by a lot. I mean, it's been almost 5 years since we've had our previous Uncharted come out, and that game is what you would probably expect out of a PS3 exclusive. But now, since we are in, well, at the time, next gen, which is now current gen for consoles, we now have developers gaining the ability to maximize their overall performance and their overall game engines and their overall gameplay of games. And Naughty Dog hit a home run on that for sure, because they added a lot of new aspects to the gameplay on top of improving gun combat, hand to hand combat, and everything besides that. They added new climbing features such as swinging from a rope that is that has been kind of in the game, so to speak, but it's a little different. If you're watching this gameplay right now that I have up, I believe there may have been a scene or two where you saw Nathan actually swing from a rope, and this is brand new that has never been in any previous Uncharted games before. In terms of having a rope on your character's person and being able to use it in certain situations, not in just fixed situations, so to speak. And then on top of that, you can actually drive a car. Driving the car at first, it took me a while to get used to it, but then afterwards it just kind of comes to you little by little, because I would say before you go into the game, do kind of adjust the sensitivity of like the driving, in terms of going left to right. It could be improved just a little bit, but and on top of that, I mean, when you also look at you know the way climbing works now, you can actually kind of like rope climb a little bit, but like what I mean by like rope climbing is like how like with like some climbers they'll stick like a sharp object into like a piece of like weak rock, so to speak. Well, you can actually do that in this game. So I mean, it's kind of hard to explain other than that, but that's just the best way I can describe it right now, so to speak. But overall, gameplay significantly improved by way over 100% compared to Uncharted 3, and that's once again another big home run that Naughty Dog has hit out of the park. And when it comes to completely unrelated to gameplay and such, um, if you look at the voice acting in this game, it's very solid, almost on par with Until Dawn. And Until Dawn actually had actual actors, and in this game, there's legit voice actors such as Nolan North, who really continued to keep on improving the character and improve the immersion of the character, which is something that Naughty Dog really nailed on really good. And whenever you view every other voice acting in this game, really good, just solid, very good. Um, and then this kind of pertains a little earlier back to overall graphics of the game, but you can actually view in Uncharted games, you can actually view the concept arts of certain chapters, and man, those concept arts and how they are really closely related to the actual game is just amazing. It is really good, and then whenever you look at the environments, as I said earlier with this game, like for example, I'm not going to spoil it much here, but there's a really big mountain in this game, and they actually give you the opportunity to look at this mountain in like a certain point of view, and oh man, it is so pretty. It is so beautiful. Naughty Dog really nailed on the overall environment and how it really captures you, how it really pulls you into the game, which is what needed to happen for this game to continue to get high scores. And, and then whenever we look back onto the gameplay, I want to bring up one thing. The puzzles in this game were very, very challenging. Well, at least maybe two of them, because on one of them I got kind of confused. That was on me a little bit, but on one of the puzzles for sure, on the back half of that puzzle, it gets really difficult, and it's almost as if you kind of have to almost kind of look for guidance. But even then, I kind of got lucky on that one puzzle, and yeah. I mean, it just kind of speaks for itself. Um, and then, you know, the overall story with this game, with how it relates to, you know, the past games, it it's I don't want to say it's redundant, but it's it's a little, it can be a little misleading a little bit, but whenever it comes down to, you know, the overall story for Nathan Drake with Uncharted 4, you meet his brother. I mean, that's been known for a while. Um, his brother, um, you know, suddenly gets back into his life, and they want to go look for treasure. I mean, and right now with Uncharted 4 and, you know, the overall story and how the story really plays itself out and how it turns out into the actual result in the end. This this is it. Naughty this is where Naughty Dog really closed out the series amazingly well. And without without this kind of, you know, this kind of quest lines, you know, and, you know, the overall story they can present with this whole entire quest to find, you know, said treasure, there really isn't, you know, a solid way to end the series. And I think Naughty Dog knew they had to basically pull a rabbit out of a hat here to satisfy everyone, and they did just that. And if they didn't do that, then I probably wouldn't be saying all these great things about this game. But this game nailed it. I mean, it nailed it. And this is where, you know, after talking about so many great things about the games, I do have a couple of things I need to say that are, you know, cons about the game, so to speak. Um, well, first off, the game did dip below 30 frames. It probably hit at the lowest 26, 25 frames. That's not much, but it was, you know, it was enough for me to notice, and I felt like, you know, Naughty Dog should probably put out some patches to try to fix that up a little bit. And even then, you know, Naughty Dog isn't the only PlayStation exclusive out there to have, you know, frame dips, and, well, it just kind of comes with almost every game, to be honest. But after that, there was a couple of bugs here and there, but those bugs can also be fixed in a later patch. I do expect, you know, maybe a patch. They've actually already released 3 patches from the release date. I'm recording this on a Sunday night, and the game almost came out a week ago, 5 days ago, and they've already released 3, you know, patches for the game. And you know what? That's fine. I mean, no game will be, you know, 100% perfect on release. Um, but even then, right now, you know, those minor bugs here and there, they will be fixed out eventually. Um, last but not least, for a con, so to speak, I actually have one more con I want to speak about after this one. Is, you know, I have read, you know, 1 or 2 reviews about the game, and I do notice that they do kind of criticize about 3/4 of the way into the game, maybe yeah, about 3/4 of the way in. They criticize um, the pacing of the story, and how it's really not that kind. It's really not, you know, suspenseful. There, yeah, that was kind of the word I was looking for. But to be honest, I can kind of see it, because there was a couple of chapters here and there that were a little slow, but they still had its own action in its own way. But on top of that, the last thing I want to bring up is, and this may kind of spoil it a little bit, just a very minor spoiler, but there isn't any cameos from past characters except for the obvious ones like Elena Fisher um, and Sully. But I'm talking about from the past two games, and that was Chloe and Charlie Cutter. You know, and yes, there are some items, and they do kind of speak of their names, but in the first act of the story, but you still don't see them, and that kind of raises the question for me that you know if they would have did a fan service for the loyal fans of Uncharted, they probably should have brought him back a little bit. Maybe just like have him like call in or something, or even show up from like a past like kind of like a flashback mission. Yeah, that is what I was thinking of. But on top of that, Uncharted 4 did everything it was supposed to do in terms of closing out a series and being one of the best games to come out in 2016. And up until this point, Naughty Dog has done a fantastic job with this series. They've done nothing but right things. And right now, currently, until I finally get enough money to play Dark Souls 3 on PC, this game is my game of the year for 2016. And my final score for this game is a 9.5 out of 10. And I highly recommend, if you have a PS4, play the game, and you will not regret it. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and call it right here, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, as always. I want to ask you guys to please subscribe for more video game reviews such as this one. If you want to follow me on social medias, go right ahead. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at ZetaTCG for both. I will have those in my description box down below. On top of that, I'm also on Twitch. This is how I got my gameplay onto YouTube right here, is through Twitch. And right now, my Twitch is twitch.tv/sunny_choppers. That will always be in my description box down below. And as always, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please comment what you think about Uncharted 4. I do want to know what you guys thought of it, because I thought this game was one of the best Uncharted games in the series, and I do believe it is going to be one of the best games to come out in 2016. But anything can happen. So I want to thank you guys once again, guys, for watching. As always, this will be your boy Zeta, signing out.